This is Todd Wilson with another episode of Elevate Your Game. Today we have a Hall of Famer in our books in the LA area as far as it comes to basketball and basketball culture, Chris Young. Ghettobird, whatever they want to call him, man. He is a legend, man. Awesome to have you here on the show. Appreciate everything you've been doing and sharing your story. I had to have you on here just to share it with the world, man.
I thank you, Cap.
Yeah. Before we get started, we look at the wall of hoop movies. Your favorite movie up there? I'm pretty sure you have a couple, but your favorite hoop movie and why?
Oh, He Got Game. A few reasons why. It's funny because where I used to live at, before I had all this hair, people used to say I looked like Ray Allen. So in my I don't want to call it a project, but they used to call me Jesus when I would come home. I remember my summer job had an interview. You had to go to the orientation. And I was like, I skipped the orientation thinking I was going to keep the job anyway. So I had to go see He Got Game the day it came out. And then when I went back to school to try to get my job back, they was like, you missed the orientation. So,
I'm blaming this on Ray Allen.
Ray Allen,
making people.
All that. No, yeah. He Got Game was definitely my flick, for sure.
Yeah, and before the show started, guys, he was literally going through every movie on the wall and how he is a couple of degrees of separation from all of them, man. Just a true hoop head, And so pretty dope to see that connection that you have with all those movies. You being in Coach Carter as one of the players, right?
I was on the high school team. Yeah,
high school team.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna hop right into it, man. The first question I like to ask is, when did you fall in love with basketball?
That's interesting because I really wasn't sure when I fell in love with basketball until I started sharing my stories. I think I fell in love with '88. I fell in love with basketball in 1988. And the reason for that was, and it turns out to be that was the year my father died. So it ended up being that basketball, even though basketball has been an up and down thing for me, it is a safe haven for me. So like '88, I think I fell in love with basketball, but I didn't play on my first official team until '89. And I didn't get my first pair of J's until '89. Nice. So that was kind of like around at '88, '89 is when I fell in love with basketball.
Yeah, man, that was when basketball was, I think, at a turn in the culture, right? You had Magic, Bird, kind of fizzling, and then you had the Bad Boys coming in, the Jordan era coming in. So great time in hoop.
Yeah, mine was Dominique Wilkinson.
Ooh, I like it. Something a little different.
Dominique was my favorite player. I remember in '88 with my father before he died, being mad when Dominique lost that dunk contest in Chicago, but still hadn't played on a real organized team. And then a few months later, my father died, and a couple months later, a few months later, that summer of '89, I played on my first organized team.
Awesome. What was that? What team was that?
That Rancho La Cienega Sonics. Back in the day, that was the breeding ground. Rancho was the main spot. They have the new gym now. I'm mad they tore down the old gym because how the Drew is now is like how Rancho was back in the day for youth basketball. You had to play Rancho. So
that's dope. That's dope. And so was that AAU ball or was it kind of just community ball then?
AAU basketball really wasn't. No,
it wasn't a thing.
I wasn't a thing back then. That was just go up there, sign up, and they pick a draft, and then you find what team you're gonna be on. What I'm saying? It wasn't a politic, and I want my kid to play here or not. 10 of us, and you had a girl on my team. You know what I mean? So I was the youngest, ended up having a future city, all city player on my team, 2 of them, and a girl on my team. So it wasn't no real politics behind it back then.
Gotcha. And then from there, so your playing career. So where'd it go? You went from Parson Rex on to high school, and what was your experience in high school?
Well, my high school experience was pretty tough. You know what I'm saying? So I went to Audubon Junior High School, which means you either go to Dorsey or Crenshaw. But once I saw Crenshaw High School, once they came to our school to talk to us, I was like, I want to go to Crenshaw. I kind of want to go to Crenshaw. My auntie went there, but I knew I wasn't going to where else but to Crenshaw when I was coming out of junior high school. So, but, looking back on it now, I probably shouldn't have went to Crenshaw because I wasn't that good. I was short, and I was still learning how to play basketball. But at the time, Crenshaw was like the number 1, number 2 team in the city. You know what I'm saying? So my 10th grade year, I was the last guy cut on the JV team. Back in the day, you go up there and your name was on the list, and then you see it, and then if you don't see your name, it's over. You know what I mean? But I competed with the best guys there. My junior year, I got kicked off the JV team because me and a coach was getting into it, which is odd because if anybody knows me, I'm super coachable, but the coach was just in that stage of his life, and he's since apologized every time he sees me. He apologized for what he, because it was tough. It wasn't like it was, you know what I mean? He might have got canceled if he did that now. You know what I mean? You couldn't do some things you could do back then now. And so then I ended up transferring or getting kicked out on purpose. So I go to May Arts, which was my second school that I wanted to go to anyway with my buddies. I lived in the May Arts district. And I went there, and this always took people, now this is how you know I didn't have a father, because my mom just let me go where I wanted to go. And I ended up leaving Crenshaw, which was the number 1 team in the country at the time, to go to Man Arts, which was the number 2, number 3 team in the city, with 9 returning seniors. A father would have been like, dude, you crazy. You never play, especially if you're still developing, you haven't, you know what I'm saying? So I went there to sit on the bench, but had a good time. I got to play for a powerhouse. I got to be a part of what it looks like to be with guys that had aspirations to play in the NBA and overseas and D1 and all that good stuff. I tell you all the time, would have been cool to go somewhere to a smaller school and play more, but I don't think I would be in basketball to this day if I hadn't gone to Crenshaw Emmanuel and just been around that real LA basketball culture. And, sometimes kids, when I tell the story, they get me like, man, you must have been real sorry. I'm like, no. Manuel and Crenshaw aren't what they used to be back in the day. Right. That was the competition. Those were real schools back then, you know what I'm saying? So, I almost didn't even play high school basketball, but I definitely competed with some of the best guys, and we're friends now, and I've gained every last one of them respect over the years. You know what I mean? They know.
They know.
Yeah, they know.
No, I think it's so cool to see somebody who was involved with the game, and not being able to necessarily get on the court or compete in high school, but you made a name for yourself post high school and got, like you said, the respect of others from doing that and from continuing to work, put your head down and do what you did. Now, from high school transitioning to college, what was that like for you?
So after high school, of course, no offers, no real prospects, and kind of got wayward, floating around, getting in trouble, not really going to school. So I tried a couple junior colleges, it didn't work out. Finally, my guy, Thurman Watson, who was my assistant coach at Southwest, before that, I would go play with him. He lived down the street from me, so I would go play with him and his best friend, Bouvet, who actually just passed away a couple months ago. So those guys kind of put their arms around me. And then when Coach Morris decided to leave Locke and go to college, I ended up being, they have this TV show, Second Chance U. I was like his first Second Chance U. I was a little older, not really sure I was going to go in life, but Coach kind of like really looked out for me. So I ended up going to Southwest for 2 years. That's where me and Red's friendship blossomed. Wasn't a great student. So after that, wasn't no more offers. I did well in junior college. I was, all conference, lost state in track. So my athleticism had kicked in. I was becoming the person that I ended up being on the court, but really didn't do well in school. Ended up walking on the Cal State LA. And I tried. It was like the first time I really was like, okay, let me try this school thing out the right way. But I just didn't have the right tools and ended up being ineligible to take a semester. And the coach really wasn't playing like he was playing me anyway because I wasn't on scholarship, but everybody knew. Like, it was one of the things where I really wasn't embarrassed about not playing because my teammates knew and people that at the school knew like I should be playing, Right? So got frustrated with that. Stopped going to school again. Track came around. Wasn't able for the track team. Kind of like it was over. You know what I mean? Kind of lost the heart for it. But I did want to go to the university, and that kind of like calmed that a little bit. And then that summer, I was talking about this going to be a sport called Slamball. So I started getting ready for that.
So how'd you get introduced to Slamball? So you said this is coming out?
Yeah, so it was back in through the Drew League. Was playing at the Drew League one weekend, and some white people walked in the gym. Back in the day, some white people walking in the gym, it meant overseas or commercial. Mm-hmm. And Mason Gordon, who created the Drew League, will attest to this story. It's on the free throw line, and shot went off, caught it, dunked on the other end, off the free throw, off the standstill. And he was like, whoa, I gotta beat this kid. And I was like, yeah, I know. Whatever they want, they're gonna holler at me. So Ron Smith, rest his soul, the creator of Say No Classic, and Smiley pulled me to the side and was like, you need to go try out for this trampoline basketball thing. At the time, I was thinking, well, I want to be on TV anyway, but I didn't want to play this fake basketball. I didn't want that to be on my resume. So I didn't go the first week. And then I went back to the drill league. And I remember, was like, so how did it go? And I was like, I didn't go. And Dino was like, Chris, just try it. You never know what it can do for you. You never know what it's going to be. So just go. And the following tryouts or interview they had, I went up there and been in love with it ever since. So I got a shot to Dino Smiley. And like I said, Rod passed away. But those are the two that pushed me into the direction of Slamball.
That's awesome. Are you involved with we heard Slamball's coming back out. Yeah. Have you been involved with that at all? Or?
Well, I was presented the opportunity to coach, and I really thought I wanted to. And I'm starting to get anxiety that I didn't do it, but it was there in Vegas for 3 months, and that would have meant I had to walk away from Air West, or at least walk away for 3 months. And momentum and things that we're doing, I just couldn't see myself doing that. So I wouldn't say it was a hard decision, but I'm definitely like, I wish it would have been in LA again, like it had been, because I definitely would have did both. So, and I just went out there this past week to check it out, and it looks amazing. And
they have like their own arena.
Well, they have their own arena, but they have the track. The practice facility is a lot better. And now they're going to the Cox Arena. I'm not sure where they're going to play at, but just the fact that they're going to the Cox Arena to put the show on together is going to be crazy. So I'm going to go out there and check out the opening night.
Okay, dope. No, I was a huge fan of Slamball, huge fan of you, like fanboy a little bit here, man. Like, yeah, you, Stan Fletcher, like, man, I love watching that stuff, and because all I wanted to do was dunk. Vince Carter's my favorite player, and so you know what I mean. Like, so seeing that was like that was hey, man, basketball. You could do anything with basketball. Was the mindset. So from the time that you fell in love or started playing the game until you kind of got to Slamball, where you kind of really blossomed into who you were within basketball. What were the biggest adversities that you hit? You mentioned, your father passing away. I'm sure that was tough. What other adversities did you hit throughout that time?
I mean, tons of them. My father passing away, and then a month or two later, my brother moved to live with his father in the Bay, and my brother ended up being like a big-time high school basketball player in the Bay. So that was tough. Single mom, growing up in South Central, having gangs and the fast life in your face at all times, or temptation at all times. But a lot of it just trying to keep my confidence together when I'm at it. Like, I was at elite high school. I was at the best high school in the country at one point. You know what I mean? Like I said, Manuel was either second or third behind him. So those are big adversity, because when you go to schools like that, they don't have time for you to develop. You either come in and ready or you don't. Right. And not having any consistent adult male in my life to kind of bounce these ideas off, and having a mother working 10 hours. It was just me. You know what I mean? This is, I created this life for myself. They don't want to point me in this direction. So those things, and, I'm not saying I didn't grow up poor, but I grew up broke. You know what I mean? So those are things you won't, or there's things you won't be able to get just because of the nature of the money or time that my mother had. So just, I don't, not that big of a sob story, but it is, you know what I'm saying? This could have looked a lot different. So, and then I self-inflicted stuff by not being a great student. That was my fault. Yeah. You know what I mean? My fault. I didn't get a better jump shot or some handles. You know what I mean? So those are things that kind of held me back, because I was a great athlete, an elite athlete, but at 6'3", they don't even go so far. You know what I'm saying? So, but we here now.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. What if you had 3 things that you could tell people who may be in a similar situation or going through any adversity, hearing your circumstances, could be worse or better for somebody who's listening? What are 3 things you can tell them to to get to where you're at, where you're living your life in a space where you're living purposeful, providing, and still connected to hoop as well?
Well, I mean, you gotta stay the course. You gotta be a good person. I took all the time. In the day, I'm a solid dude. You know what I mean? I ain't never really crossed nobody. I never done nobody shady. So those things have definitely helped me get where I'm at. Take care of your schoolwork. You ain't got to be no straight A student, but come on, man, this high school's easy, especially now. So I'm mad at myself and not just knocking that out and work on your game. Like I sat on the bench basically my whole high school career, but once I got a little taller and my athleticism kicked in, the hustler that I was, the guy that rebounded the ball, the guy that was a good teammate, it kept that same spirit. And then I just became more athletic and all that good stuff. So if I would have just worked on my game a little bit more, maybe I could have played overseas for 10 years. Well, it means I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. It'd be a different, story. But work on your game, but hold on to the things that you already are good at. And you have to be a better student. I should have been a better student. I'm mad at myself for that. I should have definitely got my education paid for the things that I was able to do on the basketball court and in the track and field.
Yeah, I think that narrative has definitely changed over the years. I think there was a time where you could be a bad student. People would, overlook things or have somebody take a test for you and all those kinds of things for the, really elite players.
What they got.
Right. And then now, it's like you have to have good grades or college isn't even talking to you, regardless of your talent level.
Right.
Regardless of your talent level. And so that focus on the academic side and your education is so important. And you see that now. Back then, those were public schools. Now you got these private schools stepping in where you have to perform academically. And that landscape changing. So I think I love that emphasis that you put because you've been through it and you've seen the opportunities that allowed you not to have almost.
And honestly, this still trips me up in some of the things I do because, all the things that I do with these corporations and companies without that degree and all that stuff, they haven't rushed to give me a job or change my email address to the companies. They'll use me for my resources and they'll put a little change in my pocket, but they haven't put any real effort to lock me in the way I think I should be locked in at this particular point in the game.
Any thoughts of ever going back to school and getting your
No, that's definitely on the horizon. That's definitely something I've been thinking about. I mean, I think it'd be a cool story, get over and go back to school.
Yeah.
Get my degree at 50, which is crazy. But I do want to show the kids that you can still do that. Like, I don't think anything's possible. And I do believe you age out of some things. But getting your degree and going to school, that's easy. It's not something you get too old to do. You just have to find the time and the motivation to do it. And we joke about that. I was just telling my good friend Joy, I was saying, that'd be a cool little show.
Yeah. No, it would. I think it's like full circle for what you stand for now, you know what I mean? And showing the kids, hey, I'm doing something too that I don't necessarily want to do, but
I actually do want to go.
No, you do want to go. Okay, well,
I think it'll be easy now, and I have.
Hey, you can go be a GA somewhere and get it paid for. Might as well coach while you at it.
Right.
But
my own degree.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. So, man, I encourage you to do that, man.
Well, it's out here now, so that's kind of what this is, kind of the hold you to some of your words and make you accountable for some things you say you want to do. And I'm not like super far away from it, you know what I mean? So I think it would be an interesting story to see me up there. With a backpack. I don't want to do it online. I want to go to.
You want to go on campus?
I want to go on campus. I want to do the whole thing. You know what I mean? I did it before, but I just want to do it right this time. You know what I mean? So,
no, that'd be dope, man. I think that'd be super dope. So Slamball, man. Tell me about how long did you play Slamball? What was your experience like with that? And what has it afforded you later now in your career through Slamball?
Well, Slamball, I did the first 3-4 seasons. The first season in 2001, 2002, I wasn't drafted. So again, I was thrust back to my high school days where I basically told that I wasn't good enough with these other guys. And I knew that wasn't true. I just knew I had to figure out the trampoline. I knew I had the desire and the athleticism to be one of the better guys. So I had to go on as a practice player. I had to humble myself. We had draft. I had to sit there and not get drafted with my mom and my little sister with me. I had to go to 2-a-day practices. I got half the pay that the other guys got, you know what I'm saying? And now that was tough because I almost didn't go back. I almost quit and just started to do something else. Like I had some great things to do outside of that. But I did go back and it's a true story. The very next day I went back, I was one of the better players. But the very next day I was like, no, I'm pretty good at this in both practices. And I did that for about a week or two. And then a player got hurt and that put me in a position to be on the team that was on the bouncers. And did pretty well my first year, led the league in scoring. First player to score 40 points. All the good things that came from that year. Second year was not as great. I was injured the whole time preseason, so I didn't really get to practice. Third season ended up being hurt again, which was 5 years after the second year because Slamball, was off the air for 5 years. But it's given me an opportunity. I stamped my passport for the first time. Went to Italy. I've been to China. Been on One Tree Hill. We've done different shows in different cities. So I've traveled throughout the States. I've traveled overseas. Met some of my best friends through Slamball. I wouldn't say like the last few years, but for at least almost 10 years, I would get a Slamball question every day. And I'm going to always be a trivia question. That's one of the cool things about Slamball. Even if it had never come back, it was still going to be like, what's that crazy trampoline basketball sport? You know what I'm saying? Right. To this day, that I meet the kids now through Air West, they're going on YouTube now and seeing some of my old stuff. And it's, Slamball is a part of my life. It's a part of me. It's one of the greatest times of my life. One of the best times, probably the best time playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? Slamball was it for me. I'm so happy it's back. And it's just cool to be able to say I did something that nobody or very few people ever tried. You know what I'm saying? And then I did it well.
And we were one of them ones. So that's dope. I think you just hear it all throughout your stories, the perseverance. Like you just kept going. Like you're showing up to practices, people are, underrating who you are and with your ability, and you go and prove it. And that's like, I don't know. You just keep going, and that's what life is about. I think that people who get stuck and stop doing something is where they start failing. That's real failure. But even though you weren't hitting, the mark, right? This whatever that looks like, you just kept going, and things worked out for you. And I like that's the biggest thing. And it turned out to be the best experience of your life on that other side of getting cut, having to work out, and having someone else to get injured for you to get your opportunity to be what you already knew you were, you know what I mean? And for everybody else. And so, man, I once again applaud you on that.
No, I appreciate that. My buddy asked me a day and I said, what people want to know about you? I said, I'm resilient. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I know that about me. I know that I could have quit 100 times. I know I could have been doing a few different things. And I've been in trouble. I've done some things that weren't the best, but at the end of the day, I'll keep fighting. You know what I mean? And so we'll see. Let's see what's going to look like at the end of the day. Right.
Right. I think you live in it. That's the thing is you get to see the fruits of that even now with everything you're doing. So talk about your transition from Slamball, getting opportunities to be on shows and getting that experience on that side. And also, is this around the time that you started working like the Jordan camp and those types of things? How did you get connected to the training side of basketball and developing?
So Slamball was 2002 and 2003. Then we're off for 5 years. And the start of season 2 in 2003, one of my college teammates, Lee Daniel Jr., was murdered. And at his funeral, it's when me and Reggie connected because he was at Howard doing this thing. He asked me to coach, and I was like, well, I've always wanted to coach. I always wanted to go back and coach, but I thought I'd be either overseas or on somebody's TV show. You know what I'm saying? So I told him if Slamball doesn't come back, I would coach. And Slamball wasn't coming back. Well, it was still up in the air, but some was always up in the air. We've been up there for like 5 years. So we were like, we got to get trained, by the time to get ready, but then it wouldn't come back. And Reggie was second year at Juzang, and my best friend at the time, Michelle's nephew, was transferring from Fairfax to either Inglewood or Juzang. And Reggie was making a push for him to come to Juzang with his best friend, Chris, and Roy Walker, which is funny. So Reggie called me and said, could I help get D'Angelo to come to Juzang? So we had a meeting at Michelle's mother's house. The whole family and Michelle's mom, Miss Beverly, who passed away a couple of years ago, I remember she was saying when the meeting was over, she did a good job with the presentation. Moved on. She was like, if you go to coach, not go back, if you go coach at Luther, D'Angelo would definitely go. And D'Angelo when Chris and Roy was going to follow. And I told her I would go. And D'Angelo was already like my young boy anyway, because me and Auntie were best friends. So I was like, I'll go coach. But I said, if Slamball come back, I'm going to leave.
Right.
But didn't come back. But so I ended up saying I was going to go coach there. And so D'Angelo ended up going, D'Angelo, Chris, and Roy ended up going to Luther as well. So 2004 to 2003, which is coming up on 20 years, I walked on Luther campus. And first kid I met was Kelsey, and probably the second kid I met was Russell. And they both wanted to talk about Slamball. So I walked on campus as the Slamball guy. So yeah, and I stayed there 2010. You know, a lot of the things in between there, we can talk about it, but that's how I got into that. And in 2005, so in 2004, my coach at these Battlegrounds, his name was Bryant. He's best friends with Mark Ravlin. He kept telling to Mark, let me coach. And Mark was, it's kind of hard to get in Jordan camp. Like you had to really like know him or have like a long tenure of being a coach. So
for the listeners, who's Mark Ravlin?
Mark Ravlin is George Ravlin's son. George Ravlin is one of the co-founders of the Michael Jordan camp in the 90s, late 90s. So I missed about 9 good years of Jordan camp. But in 2005, Mark decided to give me a chance to coach there. And 2005 was pretty cool. I ended up, after the year, we went to Europe with Slamball. I ended up winning Battlegrounds. I ended up winning the Drew League. And I ended up coaching Michael Jordan camp on 2005. So 2005 was...
year.
Yeah. And it was, what was the... Soldier video was out. 2005 was a good year for me. So yeah, got to go...
You were in Soldier. You were
Destiny Child.
Destiny Child. Oh,
yeah,
word.
Yeah. So, and that was the number one video in the world at the time.
Cut to the clip if you watching on YouTube.
Right. True with that. The afro. Thank God I still had this thing. What a blessing.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2005, Mark let me coach camp, and it was on. I remember my first day at camp. Not even first day at camp. The night I got there, they took me to the bar, and Mike was just sitting down. Like I've written about it. Like the seas opened, part of the seas, and Mike reached his hand out, shook my hand, and we've been cool ever since. So
man, that's awesome.
Nah, that's crazy.
There are stories of you playing Michael Jordan at Jordan camp.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
So so it was in 2009. So like 4 years of just, I don't know. I can talk. I don't know if I can cuss, but I can talk shit with the best of them. So, when I used to be, me and Mike used to just go back and forth, just talking, just random stuff. And one day at the camp, I guess he had heard I could jump a little bit. And he was like, something I can. And Mike was feeling good because he was shooting around and already dunking for the kids. People don't know that. They think he was just hot cold when he started dunking. So Mike was already loose. And I had been walking around coaching from 8 in the morning, 9 o'clock at night. So we started doing this little standstill, dunk contest. And I remember my boy was sitting there like, you're not filming this dude? What are you doing? Like the ones I made, he didn't start filming until I started missing. So we was doing that, and that for me was a dream come true. I got to dunk off with Mike, you know what I mean? Even though he was in jeans, and that's what people always laugh about because he was in jeans. Still Michael Jordan.
Right. Like, what we talking about?
And it's funny, he was 47 at the time, and I'm going on my he's 46, and that's the age I am now. So I think that's funny.
You still dunking?
I grazed a little. I had my little health scare, so my bounce has definitely been gone for a few years now.
Okay.
But I did dunk on somebody 2 weeks before I ended up having my situation, so I was dunking at 40.
Right.
So yeah, after we dunked, I grabbed my bags like, hey, this is enough for me. If you can videotape this, all like I'm gonna tell my kids this. And then my boy Rab was like, play 1-on-1. And Mike was like, Chris, I want to play 1-on-1. I was like, shoot, the heck if you don't. I throw my bag down, and I got to guard him for he didn't guard me, but I got to guard him for 5 possessions. And that's another dream come true. It's pictures of me. I'm smiling the whole time. I had time I'm smiling. Then making sure I don't hurt him. You know what I mean? Right. Michael rolled an ankle or hurt him. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
He's retired at this point. He good.
No, but this was the other kicker that was this was the summer. He was that fall he was going to the Hall of Fame.
Ah, gotcha.
So I'm like, yo, you better not hurt Michael Jordan. before he goes to Hall of Fame. So that's another little tidbit that I like. Like I was the last person to play basketball with Michael Jordan before he went into the Hall of Fame. Well, at least on film. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But I haven't seen nobody else Michael Jordan play basketball with Michael Jordan. So, that was cool. And then, that was a viral moment, but whatever viral was back then,
Right, right. Well, what were you watching that on? YouTube?
Yeah, it's more like YouTube.
Yeah, but no, that's dope, man, to play Michael Jordan.
What? I mean, come on, man. Especially from getting cut and not playing and this and that and all these things, and somehow you find out you hooping, like not just going to camp and going out with Michael and just having him say what's up to me was enough. To say I played basketball with Michael Jordan and I never touched the NBA floor. I mean, I've got an NBA jersey.
That's in the NBA almost like I'm saying. I tell people all the time because my story is similar. Played in high school, played junior college for a year, a year maybe and a half. And after that, I didn't have the information that I needed to navigate college, right? I should have after I left junior college, probably should have just went to a D2, D3, figured it out, whatever. And I had D1 dreams, NBA dreams, and never got on the team. But I just kept hooping. I kept hooping, started training, helping Joe Bunasar with his training. So been around NBA players, blah, blah, blah. Worked till 2019 or 20 during COVID, or right before COVID. And I'm training LeBron every day with Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson's training him. I'm there playing defense on him. And he calls me the light-skinned Pat Bev. Because, you know what I mean? Like, basketball can take you so far if you stick with it and still achieve those dreams. You know what I mean? Like, of course, we all want to suit up in an NBA uniform and be one of them dudes, but the opportunities you get with just being around the game and staying true to it. And like you said, you never crossed anybody. Your character outlasted all the hoop that you had, and you got to play against Mike and somebody you say to this day and you cool with because you were at his camp every year.
Right.
Different things you just got done with, events that still work.
I'm still like I hung out with his daughter during WNBA weekend all the time, and I'm like, that's the bar, just hanging out. Remember when she was 10, 11 years old, running around thinking she was running the camp. So, and to be able to still represent the Jordan brand, which has absolutely nothing to do with Jordan Camp. That's a whole nother lane. I'm not in the position with Jordan brand because of what I did at the Jordan Camp. You know what I mean? So to still represent Michael Jordan's name, and I take that seriously. You know what I'm saying? Even when I went to Nike or like I realized that's a responsibility to that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not out there doing nothing nefarious. You know what I'm saying? So to still just be my name, you can Google my name, Michael Jordan name, and something comes up. That's crazy.
I'm gonna try that later too. See if my name pop up with Michael Jordan or something.
That's crazy. Right?
No, that's awesome.
We're not talking about like I always joke about it. I don't know that you guys like. Well, like it was Randy Brown,
right? Show a picture of Randy Brown. He's on the Bulls. There you go. you could find him. Okay. Yeah. But that's amazing, man. Now all those camps, Michael Jordan. And you also had a close relationship or a relate, let's talk about the Drew. Let's start there and we'll build into the next story. So the Drew League, what has it meant to you and what has it meant to LA basketball?
Oh, wow. So, the Drew League, similar to Slamball because those are all on my Mount Rushmore in my life. So the Drew, it was everything to me. You know what I mean? It was like, I remember it used to be in the 90s, I used to sit in the gym. I'd play at 11, I'd be there to the last game. Then I'd come up there on Sunday when I didn't have a game or vice versa, you know what I'm saying? So, Dino, he used to like to have me around. We used to get to talk, you know what I'm saying? I didn't find my way to the Cheetahs and the legendary Casper Ware until the 2000s. So for like 5 years, I was just playing on different teams and just being around the Drew League. And I don't know, so back in the day, you couldn't play in both. So back in the say no class for the Drew League. And like I said, I was still in the phase where high school, I wasn't really that guy in high school. So playing say no, I really wasn't getting the respect that I would have probably liked just because of high school. So when I found the Drew League in 96, it was kind of like home for me. I didn't really want to play in the say no. Like you had to pick, and I picked the East Side. So really grew up a lot on the east side, sitting in that little bitty gym at King Drew Middle School. And I don't know, I just fell in love with the league. It's always meant something to me, you know what I'm saying? It's not the same no more.
Yeah, so how has it developed, and what do you think its impact before and its impact now?
Before, when I used to tell people I was playing the Drew League, they'd be like, what is that? They thought the person's name. No one really knew what it was. Unless you were on the east side or you really hoop, you didn't know. Now, at one point, there used to be a league called Run, Dunk, and Shoot. And they combined with the Drew League to call the Ultimate Challenge of Tempo, Supreme Challenge and Tempo. And that was ran by Joe Weekly, rest in peace, and Dino. So we would have crossover games. So it was really like it was a big thing for basketball players, but it wasn't like, the gym wasn't always packed, and you didn't go in a grocery store and people knew you played in the Drew League outside of being on the east side, you know what I mean? So, but that's quickly changed to now. And even though my opportunity, I got my first commercial audition at the Drew League, I had to book that, and I did, and Slamball came through the Drew League. But other than that, we were taking the Drew League places, the top players back then. Now, or we were opening doors for the Drew League, I should say. Where now is the Drew League opens doors for everybody. Right? I mean, you can really, like, people weren't going to the Drew League and getting overseas contracts. That wasn't happening. Now, some guys were already playing overseas and they played Drew, but it wasn't like, a lot of guys. Why I was saying when the white people walked in, we thought it was either commercial or some kind of overseas opportunity. Now you don't know who's going to be in the Drew League. You know what I mean? So they have so many different sponsors, and now it's on the NBA app, and watching games. Like, that's crazy. So it's meant so much to me, just being able to see it grow. Like, I wasn't there from the beginning, but I was definitely there for the transition. You know, like, I wanted my 2005 championship was the last year at the middle school. And then, you know, you had the lockout year at the park. And then you had Nike taking over the Drew in 2012, you know, whether that had something to do with that or not. So, crazy coincidence, you know what I mean? So just to be able to see it grow and to be on the ground floor, to be instrumental in some of those things that people know the Drew League for to this day, it's full circle. It's crazy. I think, you know, like, we were just crazy just to see. I was just telling somebody the other day, you know, Drew League is the number one league in the world. Slamball's back, you know, and I don't think that's a coincidence. You know what I mean? I think some of my energy and some of my influence, some of my hard work and love for both those things have really started to manifest for them. You know what I'm saying? So now the Drew League is everything. Even though, like I said, it's not the same anymore. I'm older. Sponsorship changed.
Right.
It's really, it's weird. But I mean, we're the champions. So I mean, and that's cool too. So, you know what I mean? So we're trying to do it again. You know, I didn't leave. You know, at one point when Nike did leave, Adidas did take over, there wasn't a time where I was like, well, I'm done with it. You know what I mean? But some told me to stick with it.
Yeah, it's about the Drew, it ain't about the sponsor.
No, it was. At one point, and I had to tell myself, it's not about the sponsorship. It's about the league. And when Darrell created the Kings of LA in 2011, it was really to help Delon. And then we had Jerry Evans. It was to help them develop, instead of, because me and Darrell were cheaters and kept bringing players to the team, but it's not our team, so you really couldn't move like we wanted to move. So we decided, Reg, Darrell, and myself decided to create this team. It was really just about the development. We really, of course, you want to win a championship at the end of the day, but it was more so just help you have an avenue or an outlet for the guys that we were coaching with and that we had relationships with. So to finally win one on our third try was really gratifying and a big monkey off my back. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We're struggling right now, but we'll see if we can figure it out.
Right. Is Delon playing?
Delon played last week.
Okay.
So that's even though we still lost. But Delon played last week, and Delon and D'Anthony played last week, and we still lost. So we just got to figure it out. With or without them, we still have a very talented group of guys that we can still compete for the championship. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Dope. No, that's dope to hear just the brief history of the Drew, and that, you know, you've been there 27 years and seen it all, and how it's, you know, progressed, and you know, how you have experienced it, but the doors that it opens for people now, because the doors that opened for you back in the day.
Yeah.
So no, that's yeah, that's dope. So this is a point of our show we call Where Were You When? So I'm assuming you were there when Kobe came through to the Drew League.
Okay, so the first time Kobe came to the Drew League, actually came through me in many ways. So my guy, Jerry Sawyer, who we talked about earlier about being able to live a great life through basketball, a good life through basketball, he's the one who showed me or told me that you can live an NBA life without being in the NBA. I'll never forget those words. And it's like, okay. So Jerry used to be one of the brand marketers for Nike LA. He left to go work directly with Kobe. He called me one day and was like, I got to play. This is after LeBron came. This is 2011 after LeBron came, KD came. And he said he had a player that wanted to play, but he had a new number, but I knew exactly who it was. I knew what he was talking about. But I didn't pick up the phone. So he ended up calling Joe, he called Paul Weekly, who was Joe Weekly's son, and they ended up calling Dino to kind of set up. I ended up calling Dino, and we were trying to figure out how it made sense, because it was after the season, and like, wait, he could have played the championship game, but like I've been integrity in the league, you know, you can't accept Kobe come teams gonna play on. So we were kind of stuck, and then came up with the idea. I said, well, we're going to DC for the lockout game in a couple of days. Let's put together an all-star game. That way we can get the guys to come play. Because, you know, back then, we didn't really have that kind of cachet where, like, you ask those guys to come play, DeMar, James, like, they might pull up.
Right.
But if you put together a competitive game and you tell them Kobe's coming, they're all going to show up. So we still, you ever watch the video, I'm sitting right next to Kobe. So now, my team didn't win the championship that year, but because I helped get Kobe there, Dino was like, well, just sit with Wally on the bench. But if you watch the game, I got on flip-flops and basketball clothes because I wasn't sure if I was going to have to play, because we didn't know who all was going to show up or if Kobe even pulled up. So we talked it out. We figured it out. It's going to be on a Tuesday on a low-key, don't tell nobody, even though the word got out. You know? Yes. I mean, I told a couple of my friends.
That video was wild to be like, how did y'all fit all these people in this gym?
I just want to know how he was outside.
Right.
You know, that part. So I got there early, and we just waited for Kobe to get there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was fortunate enough to have some say-so and some involvement in Kobe coming to the Drew League.
What was that energy like in that building? And Kobe hit the game winner.
He hit the game winner. No, it was similar to the Michael Jordan moment. It was just surreal. You know, I had already met Kobe before. Kobe's father was a Slamball coach in 2003. People don't know that, Jelly Bean coach. So I was already there, you know, had met him. But even before that, I met Kobe in 97 when the Lakers used to practice at LA Southwest, my junior college. So we shared the same facility and recovery room. So when we weren't practicing, we were in there, vice versa. We would just bump heads going to the hallway. Shaq and Kobe were, of course, the two. But I had a buddy on the Lakers team, so I actually got to hang around a little bit longer than most people.
Okay.
Amazing. So just sitting there and Kobe telling us what moves he's going to make and talking about James DeMar and stealing my moves and watch my fade away, left shoulder. And every time he would hit one, he would point at us. Because it was Marcus Banks who was considering playing for Lakers that year. He's a free agent. They were having going back a lot. So Marcus, you know, has a lot to do with Kobe's interaction. Then Kobe talking about who's the best three, him, Mike, and Will, you know what I'm saying? So those kind of things was going on. But it was just sitting there watching him and, you know, fake coaching him. So I can say I coached Kobe Bryant, but really, I remember when Kobe, the cop tried to get Kobe to leave, and Kobe was like, I'm not leaving. You know, you could just see Kobe was just something. I think that was one of his best moments in LA. You know, he won those championships, but just to be able to sit there and he wasn't tripping amongst the people. He wasn't, you know, he didn't have it. He might have, I'm sure he had security problems. He did have a security there, but it wasn't all up on him, and you know what I'm saying? So I remember one time we was losing toward the end. And Kobe was like, calm down, guys. We got this. And I'm like, I know we do. You're on our team. Like, what are you talking about? Ain't nobody stressing here. We got you. So, and then when he got that, Cashware Jr. hit that corner shot, I'm going to ruin the whole story. Because we were up, and then he hit that corner shot, tie the game up, and then Kobe had the ball at the end,
That's a wrap.
Yeah, that was and I think that moment doesn't get enough love. I just think that was crazy to, like, I'm going to hit this shot. Like, to be that good at basketball is just amazing to me to know if I get right here, this is going in. You know what I'm saying? And James was on his stuff too. James had, I think Kobe had 45, James had 42. You know what I mean? DeMar was exciting. But yeah, just to be right there and see a Kobe Bryant game winner up close and personal is
and amongst the people, cool. That's what I liked about it, man. He was in the neighborhood, and like you said, like it didn't feel like he had crazy security. Like they rushed the court, and he was just soaking it in.
If you watch the clip, and I'm mad at myself, I was one of the first people to rush the court. I'm supposed to be cool. I remember I rushed the court, I socked him in the chest, and hold on, dude, you're supposed to be one of the main. I had to get out the way, but Kobe raised his hands like he was Muhammad Ali, Africa, what I'm saying? It was just like he was just in his moment where it was just like, I'm here.
I might actually want that for the mural. So on this back wall, so she did all this. She's very artistic, right?
Let's go.
So we're putting different murals on the wall. We're gonna have like Vince Carter jumping over 7-footer, AI stepping over Ty Lue. No offense, Ty Lue, love you, man. And I was gonna have Kobe when he's standing on the thing with the Lakers after he won the championship. The third, I think. Yeah, but I might change it to that moment. That's dope. I like that. Yeah, I like that, man. Man, you got to experience some hoop stuff, man.
Legendary Kevin Durant came down, was on our team individually. Even though he played the game that morning, he played with us, but we had later games. So hooped against Michael. KD is a teammate. Got to coach Kobe. For a guy from South Central.
Coach Russell Westbrook.
Saw that from the beginning.
Yeah.
From the absolute beginning. You know what I mean? So a few little things here and there too, you know what I mean? So
we ain't got time to do the whole week.
Right.
Look out for the Chris Young documentary, y'all. Like LA Hoop, man, it's dope.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So now your experience from all these opportunities, these camps, Slamball, they're culture creators, right? Mm-hmm. You had culture inside of the Drew League. You had culture inside of there. Now you guys have Air West, right? You're a co-founder with Keon Kendrick. What was Air West about when it first started, and how has it developed?
Well, so, off the heels of the lockout, so Nike wasn't involved in summer basketball since Jerry pretty much left to go work with Kobe. So maybe like 3 or 4 years. Off the heels of the lockout, and basketball never stopped that whole campaign. Shout out to Jerron Smith. Nike decided they wanted to be more involved. They wanted to get back involved in LA basketball in summer. So they came with this concept. They wanted to have like an exclusive run. So they reached out to Keon, myself, and 2 other guys who ended up falling off. And so Air West was actually started by 4 people. Okay. Deion Marcus, Thurman, what's Thurman's last name? Thurman Sutton, Keon, and myself. But Thurman and Deion ended up falling off after the summer. And they were looking for a venue to host it. And I was leaving work one day. I used to work at the Expo Center. I was leaving work one day, and Deion and Amir, the guy from Nike at the time, were walking there just to scout the gym. And I was like, what's that doing here? And are we looking for a gym for Air West? Or I don't even know if he had a name for it by then. I was like, I work here. I can make this all happen. So we went upstairs. They saw the gyms. I set up a meeting with my boss. We came up with a system or an agreement where Nike would do X, Y, and Z, and they would be able to get the gyms for, I guess, basically free. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and that's how Air West ended up being at Expo Center. It would have been, I don't know where they were thinking. They think somewhere downtown or somewhere in Gardena.
Perfect place.
Once again, just being who I am, just being the guy I am, just being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
It literally was thinking about going home from work. And then 11, 12 years later, we're still there. So it was a place for NBA players and overseas guys. So, and my relationships weren't that tight and Keon's were solid with overseas guys, but I had a relationship with Darrell Wright's my guy. So, and Darrell isn't getting enough credit for what he is or what he does for the LA basketball community.
He's gonna be here tomorrow.
Oh, that's fun.
I got him and Delon on the show.
Hilarious.
So, yeah.
Hilarious. So Darrell.
Is there anything I should be asking Darrell about?
Asking who the reason why he didn't play no defense in rebound. And so Darrell is the reason why I've played with so many NBA players and been on the floor with so many NBA guys that I had no business being on the floor with because of Darrell. But he needed me to do all the grimy stuff, all the grimy stuff. So it always be like, Darrell, who you got? Who's the other three? Because they knew I was going to be number two. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate Darrell for allowing me to have those opportunities that I play with everybody. You know what I mean? And so that's my guy. And I didn't coach Darrell in high school. I came in a year after Darrell left, but I met Darrell when he was 17 at South Kent, and I've been in his corner and in his life ever since. And I coached Delon when he was in Juzang, and I have hilarious fun Delon stories that he hates that I bring up. But
I'm gonna have to get some of that too, so I can ask him tomorrow.
So Stacey and Ray really, their parents really allowed me to be a part of their lives, and I appreciate them for that. Especially because back then, like I said, I told time, the whole wrestling and all that. Reggie might have had a clue. I didn't know what that looks like. I was just a regular guy, just doing what I thought was the right thing, and lucked up and ended up being 3 NBA guys, instrumental in their careers, you know what I'm saying? Before they were famous or before they were in the NBA. And that's another bar that came from a guy that wasn't fast through basketball, you know what I mean? So where were we at with that? We were talking about
so Air West and
so Darrell's relationship definitely, pushing the LA Unified thing. So Marcus Williams, Pujetta, Bobby Brown, LV, all those guys. LV and Bobby Brown are the same people. Bottoms, Red, all those guys would support Air West because of Darrell telling them or asking them to help support me. Those are my guys, but just because your guys don't mean they're gonna put up on a Sunday or Wednesday to come play basketball, you know what I'm saying? So I respect that. And Keon had his overseas guys coming in, and we just started. It was just needed. It wasn't Nike hadn't had an influence in the basketball culture in so long. So when Nike decides to do something, it's always going to be premium. And so we went there. It was only going to be for the summer. From that success, they kept it going throughout year round. And then every summer it would just get more crazier and more people would come in from out of town. So it was people would come in town, they would go to Air West and they go to the club. Air West, the club, drew Air West, and Air West was Nike before the Drew. So we were Nike in 2012, and then 2013. That's Air West 2012. And then the Drew League ended up being Nike 2013. And held that for a few years until the Adidas thing. So we were the only thing on Nike at one point. And so then from there, we would just, every now and then we'd let some high school phenoms come in, let some high school kids. And then right before pandemic, we were really letting middle school guys come in. I had Devin Askew, Josh Christopher, my godson, Brandon Richards, guys that we thought were going to be who they were. And a couple of them ended up being who we thought they were going to be. So we went that route. And then the fall of 2019, I was just getting burnt out. I was just tired of seeing, because at the end, it was just weekend warrior type guys. And my guys, but it's okay, let's do something else. And then I was doing the EYBL. I was the ref for EYBL on the West Coast. So I was seeing younger athletes and more younger athletes, more elite athletes. So we need to start using some of this energy here. And that's when we started doing the middle school. That's when we started reaching out to you from the Times at 40 and all that stuff. And we had that last Times at 40 on March 11th, 2020. The day basketball stopped, Wow. So, and that almost was the end of it. We didn't do Air West for 2 years. And then we came back. There wasn't really a need for the weekend warrior anymore. So Nike was like, well, we're going to probably move away from Air West. And then we came with the idea to do it for the youth. And then Nike was going to walk away and we were going to go to Jordan Brand, but then somehow that didn't work out. So Nike decided to keep us. And so now here we are now. all about the youth right now. So it started off with the NBA guys, and now we're with the youth. So we've pivoted and changed the concept a few times, but I think we're here to stay now with the youth, and then we'll branch off and get back to high school, get back to the middle school, get back to the pros. But our foundation is with the youth. And I was telling Kiana, we're really making a difference in the community. Like, not that the adult part wasn't, but this is for real, for real. Like, these kids, we're starting at 5, some 4-year-olds are in there, and I hope they grow up through Air West. You know what I'm saying? Parents always ask me, how good is Air West? Air West is as good as the players. You know what I'm saying? So when the players become elite, Air West becomes elite. Right. Or it doesn't. And it's just going to always be that place where your kids can come learn how to play basketball and go off to play EYBL or the Adidas Circle, Under Armour Circle. I'm not tripping on your shoe affiliation, especially not at this age. Just want you to be good ball players, good people, and good teammates. My thing is to be a good teammate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we talk about me persevering through all these things. Air West is how I want it to be. I'm teaching them how I was raised, or how I took how basketball is to me. You know, you got to be a good person first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? You know, you might be elite kids, but if you're elite, it gives you more wiggle room to be a jerk. But the minute that starts to fall off, and you haven't been a good person, then you won't be able to have doors stay open for you. So I just try to teach the kids that just be a good person, good teammate, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important. We just posted a clip yesterday of Alicia Kamaki, the girls coach over at Sierra Canyon, and she's like, "That's our thing. Like, if you're a good person," or she said, "If you're a better person, you're a better basketball player." Mm-hmm. Those are one and the same. And those character things that we're building in these kids, I think, is super important, because there's a lot of coaches out there who are just thinking about winning. They put a team together, go win on the weekend. Mm-hmm. You're investing into kids with costing them nothing to develop their character through basketball. Mm-hmm. And that's where I feel things got kind of off balance, just with the grassroots basketball in general. Came about winning, getting the shoe contracts, and getting the next pro and all that. And pros are developed through the right people developing them.
It's so much more money in the game now. So you're going to lose some of the authenticity of it. You're going to have some people out here just for the wins, for the shoe cup. And I get it, because you got to feed your family too. But I've been put in a position where I don't have that anxiety or thirst to do the things that I could do or need to do to make X amount of money. Now, I do want all the money that comes with this, but I want my character and my name to stay intact throughout the process. So, you can think we both seen a lot of kids that were, he gonna be the one, and then now you like,
they don't play basketball anymore.
Or you don't even want to be around them because they're jerks, or their parents was jerks. You know what I'm saying? So that you are a better basketball player if you're a better person. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that basketball is gonna stop. Now who's gonna want to deal with you then? So
absolutely. All right. So it's the segment of My Rushmore. Mm-hmm. Okay. Your top 4. And for you, we're going to do your top 4 players. So you've been around the Drew for 27 years. So you can be biased. And we're not going to include the people who just have guest appearances.
Oh, no, for sure. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yep. And so your top 4 players in the Drew League in the last 27 years.
Okay, so one of them won't be biased. Is Darrell. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get enough credit for that as well. So Darrell is probably on that list. Darrell could do it all on a basketball court. It's, that good. Casper Ware, even though I caught the tail end of Casper, I see what it was at an older age, him still there to get 20 in the game. He's actually our coach. If people didn't show up, he would play, and he, mid-game, just throwing his shoes and hoop and still be effective. So that was 2. I know I'm going to be so mad later because there's others, but Mike Brown, I don't know if you know about Mike. Mike Brown was probably the best teammate I ever had, or the most talented teammate I ever had. You know what I'm saying? Who probably should have played in the NBA, but that's how life goes. And I probably wouldn't have said this until recent, but it's got to be Frank.
Yeah.
Frank is, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like he has a chance to be MVP this year. If we have anything to do with his team, won't win a championship, but he can get that MVP out of him, you know what I'm saying? But Frank is just destroying people right now.
Everybody.
Like, and it's just, and I was going to post about, I was very trying to make a post about that because Frank does so many different things and still plays hard than everybody on the floor.
Yep.
Still plays selfless.
It's like he's getting younger. It's almost crazy. He's like more experienced. He's, more efficient, but it's like he's getting younger and more in his prime.
Yeah,
as time goes on.
He's hitting a crazy streak.
Another player who should probably be in the league, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, people ask me all the time, and there's no knock on Frank. It's just different styles.
Right.
Different. You put Frank in a situation where he can't be who he is. He might not look as great. Mm-hmm. I remember when Frank came into the Drew League. Frank actually was the same D2 as I at Cal State LA for a minute. So I've seen Frank play for a long time, and Frank was like, he went from like the energy hustle guy, that was the mode I was in, to like not through everything like basketball. He just kept getting better and kept getting better. Now he just had a maturity space in life with his family and his game and his career. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like, he doesn't have a bad game because he plays the whole game. Now, he might have a bad shooting game, but he does everything else in the game, so you don't have an overall bad game. And dudes are just, they can't match his energy. They can't match his passion. So I really respect that because Frank makes a living off his knees, his face, and all that. And yet he's still diving on the floor. He's still trying to dunk on everybody. He's still playing basketball 6 or 7 days a week. So he's just an amazing, it's just amazing to see him right now. It's crazy. And so Frank definitely has to be one of the best players I've ever seen play basketball. Yeah. Inside or outside the Drew League in the last 27 years.
Absolutely. So I've only been around the Drew since 2012, probably, when Nike came in is when I started going. And before that, I was living in Kansas anyway. So, yeah. And so from my time, Frank and Darrell were the two that stood out to me, immediately over that time. And Casper.
Yeah, I mean, Casper
is crazy, man. When somebody that size is just dominating, it is amazing to watch. I think that's why we're in love with Steph Curry and all these smaller guards. Saying smaller, 6'3" is not small, but it is for NBA.
No, for sure.
And so those three, and I'm trying to really think about this one because it was only for a small time that I saw him, but it was the time I saw him. Mike, I can never say his last name.
Money Mike. So Money Mike would be on Frank's level, but like you said, Money Mike only played 3 years in the Drew League.
Man, that boy cold, man.
2011 to about 2014, Mike was the coldest nigga in the Drew League. Man. We went to DC together. We went the second year in 2002, we went to tournament champion in DC together. So Mike was tough. Mike was tough. LB was tough. Marcus Williams was tough.
Yeah, Marcus Williams.
It's been some really tough guys. They just didn't do it as long as Frank. Not to say as long, because they probably played the same amount of years, but they weren't the top like Frank. Casper was one at one point. 2011, the year like Casper won the MVP. Casper, when I played for the Chiefs, Casper and Irv used to sit on the bench, and I would sit there and talk to them when I was in the game. So it was my homework, or I would ask them after the game, did your mom make the tacos and can I get a Gatorade? So those are my guys. So I've seen them grow up from being babies, you know what I'm saying? So Casper is definitely, I think Frank's kind of like took over Casper's role, as in there might have been Casper I would put in that spot. But Frank is just, I can't deny what Frank is doing right now. So, a lot of guys is in the Drew League. That's I have a little beef with them right now with this little thing they got going on. Like a lot of guys are good in the Drew League, but for 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? 10, 15 years, people putting their work. Very few people are putting their work that long or care to do that. You know what I'm saying? They still play, but they didn't come into Drew League with the same mindset. Frank comes in with the same mindset every time. Like, I want to win. So he can get the MVP, but if he get that championship, he'll be pissed.
Absolutely. So, end of the show, flip the script. 2 questions that you got.
One, because since you are on the training side, I want to know who is your best? And I know you more so middle school guys. What was your best? Who was the top middle school kid you coached?
When they were in middle school
Yeah, when
or
middle
now?
school. No, middle
when
school.
they were in middle school,
Yeah.
how many?
Your top. You give me 3.
Give me 3? I'll give you 3. Okay. Number 1, Sky Clark. It's not even a question. Sky Clark in middle school was coming into his own, and in 8th grade, I don't think there was much anybody could do to stop that kid. And he had the full game, 3-level score, played defense. Yeah, Sky was. I've never seen a kid that young work that hard.
Real quick on that, you know, Sky played in Air West in middle school.
Yes,
he was one of our first middle school kids.
I remember. Yes,
so
I remember.
I'm always happy I got my little young Sky part picture.
Yeah, no, I got so. Sky started playing really when he was 9 and 10 years old. He would do a little ARC league and all that. He was a little chunky 10-year-old kid.
That's funny. I need to see that picture.
Yes, we have video.
Yeah.
And I was one of his first like shooting coaches when Shot Zone was up out here in Woodland Hills before Shot 360 was around Shot Zone out here. And I was one of Sky's first like shooting coaches. I was training, but that's what his dad wanted me to do at the time. And man, there's no kid like more focused, more coachable than him. And he just locked in and started, just getting better and better and turned like, just, I don't know what he drank over the 7th and 8th grade year. You know what it was, actually. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. We played Heritage Christian's middle school team, played Chaminade's middle school team. We were smacking everybody. That Sky Clark, Ben Schosberg, Mike Price, Dusty Strump. Like, we were, like, loaded. It was crazy. We played Chaminade, though. They smacked us by 25 in the championship game. KJ Simpson, who's at Colorado now, and Mike, not Mike, what's the other boy that played with him at Chaminade? Higgins. Keith Higgins.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, his father.
Lehigh.
Yeah, his father's one of my OGs. They looked at me, so I can jump.
Oh, no, he can fly.
But their whole family can jump.
Yes. I remember playing them in the 360 league all the time. Yeah, so they smacked us in the middle school, and we were loaded with talent. They had them two and Abe Eagle, who just graduated from Gonzaga. And after that, something clicked in Sky. Like, I never want to lose like that again. And from that point on, it's been the menace of the training of Sky Clark. So Sky, 1, 2, had to be Johnny Juzang. He's the one who helped me start my program. Like me and his dad came up with the idea for court prep. And Johnny was this, 6'4" shooting guard in 8th grade. It was just, and he played. I asked him, I said, where are you getting all your moves from? It's like, oh, from 2K. Kid was watching 2K and using the moves he learned on 2K. Yes.
Not 2K now.
Not 2K, yeah, where it's like, no, he was learning 2K. So he had, a little post fade, his pull up. And once again, somebody who was just mentally focused very early on. That's what you see with those kids. And so Johnny was pretty unstoppable because he could just shoot over everybody. He was smarter than everybody, pass the ball. And so in middle school, Johnny was good.
He's the hometown favorite too. He played in the True League in my squad.
Oh, nice. Recently?
No, right
before he got drafted?
Right before he went to Kentucky.
Okay. Kentucky. Yeah. He needs to, he's probably in Utah back and forth. Get him acclimated.
Let's knock that down.
He had a hell of a summer league, though.
Yeah.
So did a great job. Number 3. Now, this is tough because I got some. Oh, this is easy, actually. Now I think about Elijah Arenas.
Okay.
Yeah. So Elijah started in core as a 6th grader. I got videos of him. Like, he didn't know how to do anything. So Elijah played soccer. He wasn't even a hooper. He didn't even know who his dad was. He didn't know his dad was like Gilbert Arenas. It was wild. Like, he's like, that's just my dad. And we like, yo, you know who your dad is? Like, watch this video. And seeing his growth, just maturity wise. And 7th grade, 6th grade, he was just a little dude, had one pullback move that he tried to do on everybody. 7th grade, the kid shot 90% in pickup games. Like, he would not miss. And this is a year where he had a pretty good, class above him who could hoop. And then 8th grade year, he was just on a different level. What he's doing now, he was doing in 8th grade in core. And those 3 kids, their work ethic is what made them different. They just love being on the court, super coachable, focused and driven. Like they know they're going to the NBA. there's no doubt, question, anything about it. And every behavior they have is focused on that. They don't spend time doing anything else but trying to get to the NBA.
Right.
So, no, those three.
No, that's cool, man. To be able to see them before is always a bless. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I made my mark in this middle school ground. It's like everybody wants the next, they see them in high school or, who's the next pro. Is like, I want them before they start smelling their own poop and before their parents want free training, because that's what starts to happen. And I'm like, nah, let's focus in this middle school. And thank God, man, I'm so grateful for Johnny and his dad and trusting me, because I had him, I had Taryn Frank, who was a beast, and who else? Dylan DePino, who was a beast back then. Like, I had some dudes come into the program right away, and it just helped. Then I had Sky, then I had Dusty, then I had Ben, then it just kept on flowing with those high level players. And that's not a knock on any of the other middle school, because there's some kids who are really good. That's like Dusty Stromers and that. Brady Dunlap, like there's some kids in that. So, but those three definitely.
No, I mean, that goes to my next question. Like, what made you create Core Prep? Because, like you said, you do have like now you already have a great roster. Like in 10 years from now, you can really sit back and be like, yo,
it's crazy.
These guys were before. So, a lot of people, like in myself including, have a lot of great ideas, but don't always see them through. What made you decide to really just like Core Prep?
So I was just training at the time. Had pretty good amount of clients, and where I could just be a full-time basketball trainer. And I was trying to figure out how to make money throughout the day, literally from, I'll train somebody in the morning, but from 8 to 2 p.m., 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., I'll sit at home and do nothing. I was watching my shows or, I don't know, running errands. I wasn't doing anything. And I hate not being productive. And so I was actually planning on doing a 5th-year prep school with another basketball training service. And I was developing that. And we realized that California real estate is just too high to do it, right? And it's tough to run a prep school the way that other people run it out of the state. And so I had the framework for this school and basketball mixed together. And so Johnny's dad came to me and said, hey, Johnny wants to do homeschool so he can train more for basketball. And I was like, oh, I could put something together like that. So I put it together. I just had become the assistant at Heritage Christian. It's 10 years ago. And so I found out they had a online service for their school, but it was accredited through their school. And so they made sure everything was accredited. So I took their homeschool curriculum and put together this PDF. It used to be called Core Hoops Preparatory Academy. Mm-hmm. And it was like military. We had a dog tag with it on there back in the day. And I put that together. I had 15 people show up to a meeting and 8 families signed up. And then we were a homeschool program that first year. I was like, I'm never doing this. Driving around in my little Civic and, I was their teacher, their mentor, uncle, all that. Yeah, it was too much. Partnered with the school where they have their classes on campus. And we just took those PE periods and elective periods to do the training. And the school agreed to it. And we went from 8, 18, 28, 32, 72. We're at between 2 schools now. We have 200 kids, 220 kids in the program. And so we do all sports now. But it happened because there was a need that needed to be filled for one of my players. Mm. That's how it was for me. It was like, yo, Johnny needs that. I'll do it. I ain't doing nothing. Right. First, like, you pay me a little something too on top of that. Let's go. Right. And it happened. And it's just, it turns to a different beast every year. It's talking about continuing to grow and perseverance. Right. Woo. It's a lot, but because these kids, they've changed.
Well, yes. I keep going back to the money.
Yes.
You go into the money and the fame, you know what I'm saying? So, and a quick story about Johnny, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but he didn't classify up. That was my number one target, to take a break from the Compton Magic and bring me web. I had lunch with his daddy and everything. That was my middle with. I was like, but I don't think it would happen because that Compton Magic situation was amazing.
It was great.
You know what I'm saying?
He was in that class with the Mobleys.
That's crazy. That whole group of kids have all probably touched the NBA or will touch the NBA. I think they all touched the NBA.
Yeah. The starting 5 have. The starting 5 are in the league.
So, of course, I got my internal Nike Adidas beast, but not what Atope and Spoon did with Compton Magic. I definitely take my hat off to them for that.
So, absolutely. And you see it. I think they're very selective of who they have and they take care of them though. Elijah's there now. They're taking care of them. We have Dylan Shaw, one of our players at Heritage Christian. Man, they take care of those kids, man, and they do it the right way.
I can't fight it.
No, man, as long as you helping kids and you doing it the right way, I ain't mad. That's what it's about.
Right. It's supposed to be what it's about, but
the Johnny reclassifying thing was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was I went to go watch him play Alamany. It was like one of the last league games for the Mission League. And he's just dominating. And I mean, his dad talked, and he's just like, I think it's time for him to go on. Like, high school is too easy. He wants to be challenged. It wasn't like he wasn't losing games or anything like that. It was just for Johnny personally, where he wants to be in the league, so he wants to play against better competition. And I was like, man, let's reclassify him up. And he was like, we can do that. Absolutely. We reclassified in 8th grade. We go back up. And helping with that whole situation, because it had to happen fast. And it had to happen the right way for him to go to Kentucky. And, he had Kentucky, Kansas, and Virginia. Like, hey, if you reclassify, we're taking.
Right.
That's not a bad opportunity any way you see it.
That's a good option. That's a good option.
And he turned it out, figured it out, at UCLA at the end of the day.
Yeah, it wasn't picture perfect, but you got to come home and shine, for sure.
Yeah, so. For sure.
Nah, John's a good guy.
Awesome. So that's your camera right there. You're going to talk to the people. You have a 24-second shot clock. How to get connected with Air West or anything else that you want to tell the people in general.
Well, Air West, you can connect with us on IG at Air West, AIR_West, WEST. My Instagram is DYoung_LA. Yeah, just tap in. We just created a hometown favorites, hoops page. So just trying to keep all the basketball stuff going. So
what's hometown favorites? How's that? What is that exactly?
So hometown favorites is the clothing line that Darrell created.
Oh, yeah.
And then we used the name for our Julie team. And at first we didn't really connect the two, but as things that, we've grown, it's only right that we, make it seamless. So, and it's not all the way connected, but Darrell's involved with the clothing line and Darrell Delano involved with the team. So we're hometown favorites. And we used to be called the Kings of LA, but we changed the name to hometown favorites in 2017.
So, awesome. So, man, thank you for being on the show, brother, man.
I appreciate this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.